Hello, I'm John. Welcome to my channel, Disquiet and Dragons. And in today's video, it's going to be my top 10 favourite reads of this year. Hello and welcome back to the channel. I hope you're doing well wherever you are in the world. I'm just out for my walk. I thought I'd do my top 10 books of the year, but it's a little bit windy today, so before I get to the first book, I'll find somewhere a little bit more sheltered. So the first book I'd like to talk about is an honourable mention, and the reason it's not in the top 10 list is I haven't quite finished it yet, and that's Sharpe's Tiger by Bernard Cornwell. If I'd finished this book, if the second half of the book is as good as the first half, it would be in my top 10. It'd probably be in the top 5. I'm absolutely loving this book so far, but I would imagine it'll be in my list for next year for sure. But as for now, I haven't finished it, so it's got to be an honourable mention. A couple of things with my top 10. There's no rereads in this list, and it's just books that I've read this year, not books that were published this year. So with that out of the way, at number 10 is Book of Dust, Volume 1, La Belle Sauvage, if I've said that correctly, by Philip Pullman. I absolutely love his Dark Materials by Philip Pullman. Is it the best trilogy ever written? Maybe. Absolutely adore those books. So I was a bit worried going into this. Will it live up to the other books? Absolutely. Wonderful book. The characters in it are just brilliantly written. There's a villain in it who is absolutely horrible. And you really get behind this young lad who's the main character in this, and how he looks after Lyra as a baby. Definitely, if you like his Dark Materials, definitely check this one out. It's just brilliant. And at number 9 is Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. I love this book. I picked it up. It's not a small book. It's about 400 pages. I read it in a day and a half. It just reads so fast. It's got to be one of the fastest paced books I've ever read. Science fiction, all about like time travel and multiple universes, and at its core, behind all the science, I think it's a love story. It's about this guy. He wakes up one morning and nobody knows who he is. The world that he's in isn't the world he remembers or knows. So he uses his scientific knowledge to try and get back to his own world. Absolutely brilliant stuff, well worth reading. And at number 8 is Kings of the Wild by Nicholas Eames. This is a fantasy novel. It's about this group of mercenaries known as a band, and the front man, his daughter, is trapped in a really bad siege, and he goes and he finds his old friend and the rest of the group of mercenaries to help him rescue his daughter. It's funny, it's epic, it's some quite tense scenes. If you like a book with a sense of adventure, it's a wonderful book. Can't recommend it highly enough, and that's Kings of the Wild. And at number 7 is a science fiction book, and that's Hyperion by Dan Simmons. This book, it's unreal. It's so well written, and the prose is absolutely beautiful. It follows a group they've been selected to go to this world, Hyperion, to investigate the appearance of the Shrike, who's this multi-limbed warrior god of death. And on their their pilgrimage, each character tells their story, and it's kind of like short stories with an overarching narrative. That's how it reads anyway. But in nice science fiction, it incorporates so many different genres into its telling. There's one chapter that's like a noir investigation story. There's body horror. There's like first contact type science fiction. There's military science fiction. Absolutely brilliant stuff. If you haven't read it, it's awesome. That's Hyperion by Dan Simmons. And at number 6 is Assassin's Quest by Robin Hobb. Just a wonderful, wonderful book and part of a really, really good trilogy, the Farseer trilogy. I thoroughly enjoyed all 3 of the books, but I think Assassin's Quest is my favourite. Just about some of the characters are just amazing. I know Mark Night Eyes isn't a creepy weirdo, he's a good dog. This book follows Fitz and Night Eyes and Burrick and all the other characters. The Fool, I thought the Fool was amazing in this book. Never been so invested in a book about walking. I really haven't. I understand people that don't enjoy this series. I do get it, but I just found it absolutely captivating. The descriptions of nature, the environments, and the atmosphere, wonderful stuff. And that's Assassin's Quest by Robin Hobb. And at number 5 is another book called Dark Matter, but this one's by Michelle Paver. This one follows our main character. He's on an expedition to the Arctic, and he goes with his party, and the captain taking him by ship really doesn't like the area that they're going to. If you want a slow burn, atmospheric horror, you won't get much better than this. I thought it was absolutely phenomenal, absolutely brilliant book, and that's Dark Matter by Michelle Paver. Everyone loves this book, and there's a good reason for that. I read this book earlier in the year, and I was in a job that I was really struggling with, and Legends of Lattes just came along, a huge book, and it's just wonderful. It's just cosy and kind, and a wonderful, wonderful fantasy book. It's about this mercenary or ex-mercenary orc called Viv, and she decides to go to this town and open a coffee shop, and it's just like a slice of life and shows the troubles that she has owning this coffee shop. Absolutely brilliant. Can't wait to read the series. And at number 3 is Starvacre by Andrew Michael Hurley. This book, it's just a wonderful, wonderful folk horror. It's set on in the English countryside, and it deals with grief and loss and strange things happening as folk horror things tend to happen. If folk horror is your thing, I can't recommend this one highly enough. It's absolutely wonderful. The prose is beautiful, the sense of grief and the sense of pain is just so well written. There are a couple of scenes in this book that are incredibly nasty, but they're not done to gross you out. They're done because the story needs them to be done. so it's not overly gratuitous. It doesn't linger on this nastiness. It's like quick and brutal, but then it's onto the more sedate folk horror aspects of this book. But yeah, Starvaker, amazing book. And at number 2 is The Ritual by Adam Neville. This book, oh my goodness, it's so good. I had seen the film before I read this, so I kind of thought I'd know what would happen. No, it's different enough to the film that it's well worth reading. If you haven't seen or read The Ritual, read the book first. It follows a group of 4 friends, and they're out hiking in the wilderness in Sweden. They take what they think is a shortcut. It leads them into the woods that they just cannot find a way out of. And yeah, bad things start to happen. It's tense, it's atmospheric, it's very claustrophobic at times. Even though it's out in the woods, you really feel that these trees are closing in on the characters. And what Adam Neville does really well is he takes a group of characters, and the main character, he's not a likeable guy, he's a bit of an arse, but he makes you really care about him, which is so difficult. But yeah, wonderful book, and yeah, no surprise, another folk horror in my top 3. Well, I had no idea there was a trig point up here, so let's go and have a little look. And that brings us to my favourite book of what has been a pretty bloody good reading year, to be fair. I've read some fantastic books. There's some wonderful books that I've read that haven't even got on the top 10. So yeah, really happy with how this year's gone. But my number 1 book of this year is Wilding Hall by Elizabeth Hand. My friend Ellie at Bibbidi Bobbidi Books sent me a message earlier in the year, and she was reading this book, and she said, you've got to read it, it's just your kind of thing. And I tried to get her a physical copy, and I really struggled with that, so I used an Audible credit and I got the audio book. It is absolutely amazing. This story, it's told in interview format, and it follows this folk band in the 70s, and they go to this old stately home in England called Wilding Hall to record an album. And as they're there, strange things start to happen, and these things start escalating and escalating, like feeling like you're being watched, getting lost in this house even though it's not that big, but it seems to go on forever. Strange parts of the woods that seem to change and shift as you're walking through them. But yeah, it's creepy, and it's whimsical, and it's magical. It's just a wonderful, wonderful book. I haven't gone too in depth with this because I really don't want to spoil it. But wonderful book, wonderfully written. Yeah, it's my favourite book of the year. Wilding Hall, absolutely. It's a beautiful book. Please read it. So that brings me to the end of this list. If you've read any of these books, I'd love it if you let me know in the comments, or what your favourite books of the year were. I wish you all the best for the coming year. I hope you read some amazing books, and everything that you want to happen goes your way over the next 12 months. I am rushing a little bit now because I'm starting to lose light, and I've been talking about horror in the woods, and I will spook myself out. So, try and get past this tree first. Yeah, so I'm going to try and get back to the car before it gets fully dark, and I'll start to creep myself out in the woods. I hope you're all doing well wherever you are. I hope you're enjoying what you're reading. I'll talk to you all again soon. You take care. Bye.